the Maga base. There's an Israel first beachhead in the Maga base, and it's on thin ice. And Trump knows it. Everybody knows it. Although it's a slow burn, this issue with Gaza, and it was seen as a left-wing issue, a woke issue. They tried so hard, to defend it. Look at that Joe Rogan interview with Douglas Murray and Dave Smith. People don't underestimate the political reverberations of that, because that was a pillar just basically coming out from under this weak table of this agenda with Israel, and starting to collapse, and everybody's seeing it. The libertarian right, and that's part of the MAGA base, the libertarian right. This is bad news for Trump. Add all these other details in, you've realized at this point that public opinion is tilting, even though it's not nearly what it is on the left. But this thing being leaked out to try to, even if it's to create the impression there's some distance between Trump and Netanyahu, it nonetheless pushed pressure on Netanyahu, on Trump, to somehow acknowledge the severity and the problem with this situation. And also, Netanyahu himself doesn't have as many allies inside Israel as he did a year ago. That political situation in Israel is still boiling. And that's also going to potentially undermine the entire project. So it's the internal machinations and internal political tribal warfare inside Israel that is also hemorrhaging what's happening to this project. It's no longer omnipotent. The Iranians have reached out and touched them. The Yemenis shut down Ben Gurion Airport. But that just shows you that it's no longer a simple equation that Israel can manage with the U.S. assistance. It's much more complicated. They risk pulling the Gulf states into huge problems, with Yemen, example, and Iran. All of this is for Israel. All of the trouble, all of the money, all of the political capital that's been expended in and outside the U.S., it's all for Israel. And what is Israel really doing for the United States? Because the only argument that the far right's making is they're killing Muslims over there, so we don't get them over here. I'm sorry to put it and be crude about it, but let's call a spade a spade. That is the far right argument. They're keeping radical Islam at bay. They're killing them, because we don't want them over here.
How about not creating a refugee crisis to begin with? This is the thing. My issue with this, let's say, so-called conservative right-wing groups is this exact point. You need to point out why there are Palestinian refugees and why there are Syrian refugees. It's not like everybody woke up in the morning and they wanted to march to Europe or to the United States.